In this episode of To Noise, we're going to break down all the new things announced at Unreal Fest.
28 years later shooting with iPhones.
And Natasha Lyonne hits back at the AI critics. Let's get into it. All right. What's up, Addy? You're back in the room.
We're back in the studio, man. Good to be here.
Yeah, we're catching up on the AI on the lot interviews. But the crazy thing, I know I told you about this, and this is my icebreaker for guests, but weirdest, bizarrest thing, when we were recording, the microphones that I rented, the nice Shure SM7B, I'm like,
Those
let's
nice.
make these nice, high quality. They were picking up a Chinese radio station.
Not nice.
And I don't understand how or why that happened. So if anyone, we have a smart audience, if any sound engineers, because I'm not a sound engineer, know how this was possible to pick up interference with stuff that is supposed to be protected from that, I would be very curious.
Yeah, I'm wondering if those mics had built-in RF receivers, because they could be wireless or wired.
This is a whole wired setup. I will say we did try. Someone else had a shotgun mic, because I'm like, let's figure out, like, is it the mics? Is it, because it's both microphones and two separate cameras, and we tried a shotgun and it also had the same issue. So I don't know if it was just that spot was just cursed.
No, because radio frequency is, over terrestrial radio is typically in the megahertz, which is way beyond audible range. So the only way to decipher that is with RF receivers, if they're built in, or you guys were just hearing stuff. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't even there.
Some underground radio station broadcast. But Adobe Podcast, which I don't normally use, their audio filter saved the day, because it was still too much for Resolve's cleanup to do. But Adobe Podcast is...
Do you think they'd used AI for the cleanup?
Yeah, I think it's trained on. Yeah, I'm
good.
90% sure that is a
AI saved
model,
the day.
Some version of a model to modify your voice and remove background noise.
Awesome.
But yeah, it worked. So glad that worked out. Okay. Unreal Fest.
A big deal.
Yeah. So tell me what we got. Break it down for a lot of updates.
So for those of you who are not familiar with Unreal Fest, if you know Unreal Engine, if you know Fortnite, if you know Tim Sweeney and the Apple lawsuit, right? Like the epicenter of all of that is they hold a big yearly festival for their creators, for their developers, and it takes place at different places around the country. Actually, now I think they have smaller versions of them all over the world.
Okay.
I was lucky enough to go to the very first one in North Carolina in 2019, and then the pandemic happened. They paused it for a couple of years, and then they picked up again in New Orleans, I think in 22, which was so much fun.
That's cool.
And they did it in New Orleans for 2 years, and then last year it was in Seattle, and then now it's in Orlando this year.
Right after I leave Florida, go to Orlando. Yeah, we haven't talked about the Apple decision, but that was the quick recap, like Epic sued Apple over their fees in the marketplace, and they've been off of Apple devices for a few years while this lawsuit went on, and they won pretty much.
David versus Goliath, and kudos to Tim Sweeney for putting up the incredible amount of money needed to lawyer up and
they had the resources to fight Apple and cost a fortune, but and
I bet Apple, that was part of their strategy, is like, who's gonna counter us? We're so massive. This is our own ecosystem. Who's big enough, strong enough to really dissuade us? And I think Tim went up and fought and won. Yeah. So I think there was a 30% fee that goes out to Apple for any in-app purchase.
Any transactions on the platform when you log in with an app and you pay, it has to go through Apple's payment. Yeah. They would forbid you from directing people to go use a third party, like your own payment processor. Yeah, they fought that. And so we're already seeing that in app updates where now they, like Netflix or something, they'll tell you like, oh, you can sign up. You could either use Apple Pay or you can go to our website and just put your credit card information in and sign up.
And what Tim made so clear was like, iOS is typically a big major platform for mobile game developers, let's say, right? Like majority of their sales will come from iOS. And then a 30% is the difference between profitability and shutting the company down.
Especially for smaller game developers. And which is a big win for them.
Yeah, so it's almost like an unconstitutional charge in that sense. Like you're surviving just to pay that fee to Apple. I'm not putting it as
that fee's coming out of for the consumers, because it's like they have to bake that extra cost into the charges so they can,
I'm sure it's a split between both. Like consumer will probably pay a little bit, and then developers will suck up the rest of that incredible charge. But look, that's over and done with. What is interesting is, if those of you who know Roblox and Fortnite are the two main visions of the metaverse, and each of them have their own sort of flavor to it, their own philosophy behind it. So Unreal Fest is really an encapsulation of where Tim thinks the metaverse is going and their investments into that direction.
Is Unreal Fest more focused on Fortnite and more the consumer-facing side, or is it more focused on Unreal Engine and the developer side? Or both?
A little bit of both. So when I was attending a couple of years ago, virtual production was in its infancy. It was huge. So there's a big push on getting photorealistic results out of Unreal and display and all the advancements they've made, SMPTE 2110.
They put a lot of the recordings online. I've gone through some of them. Some great talks and recordings.
For the most part, I think Unreal has matured enough as a VP tool where even if they didn't develop on it enough, it's still very capable for at least the next few years, right? So I think the VP side of it has cooled down. Having said that, they have an enormous resource of developers, researchers, right? Epic is a very sharp company. They can make really cutting edge products. So what are they working on? First and foremost, I think is revenue for them. So Fortnite is their number one revenue generator. And one of the things they're going up against with Roblox on is user generated games. So for the ability, now previously the big Fortnite season releases are made by a production, I think they're called Llama Production, within Epic.
Okay. Oh, you know, because that came up with the Darth Vader lawsuit. Because that was or cease and desist. I wanted to clarify. I don't think it was actually a lawsuit.
Yeah. So it's like a own independent game studio within Epic that's making Fortnite.
Okay.
Having said that, they do realize the true value in the metaverse is for anybody to be able to create any game and then have other people play it.
Right, and that was a big thing of Roblox's model, right?
Roblox does that incredibly
super
well.
Built of just build your own little sandbox, build your own game, and charge people make money off Roblox, right? Like it's a
really solid money. Like the top 100 creators of Roblox are multimillionaire. Like they make multiples of million a year.
How do they charge, or what do you charge for on Roblox?
You can buy digital assets like clothing. You can buy limited release stuff.
Is that the bulk of? Because I know that's a big Fortnite thing as well. Like isn't it something like $1 billion is spent a year on digital?
I'll just I have a key insight into this. So now that I work at Stability, I had an interview with Roblox, and the manager that interviewed me said just our avatar side of the business is $1 billion a year. Not the rest of it, just like
the avatar,
just
and
the
just
clothing.
Roblox.
Yeah, so avatar. When Roblox says avatar, that's the same as digital humans in Unreal speak. So like selling hats, clothes, fingernails, I don't know, whatever they have. It's so much money.
That's wild.
Oh, here's another fun fact. It's a little bit of sideway. The AirPods business for Apple, just the AirPods, is bigger than Epic.
It's bigger than Epic?
Yeah. It's like multiple billions.
I knew it was big enough to be its own like company, but I didn't realize it was bigger than Epic.
Just put things to scale. You know, when they do like a planetary scale thing, this is where things lie.
Yeah.
All right. So going back to Epic, one of the big investments that they made 5 years ago was a technology called MetaHuman. At that time, if you were to build a digital human, it's very much bespoke. You'd have to scan somebody, and then that scan would have to get cleaned up. You have to rig it. You have to add muscle sim. You have to add hair sim. And it's just, by the time you're said and done, you're looking at like $200,000 rig. And then that's going to be put into a video game and only on screen for like 5 minutes of an in-cut scene. And that's it. Right? So Unreal found a key market here. It's like, why don't we just make digital humans simpler, cheaper, and that will proliferate Unreal Engine. And that will also have the side effect of building digital humans into the metaverse much easier.
Okay.
So this was an early investment. They acquired a company called 3Lateral out of, I'm going to say Croatia, who had the rigging technology. And the only reason I know this is because we paid for that license at Verizon, which was incredibly expensive. And then it was free overnight when MetaHuman got acquired. We're like, damn it. So this year is a big MetaHuman year at Unreal Fest.
Okay.
So one of the big pains was creating the MetaHuman itself. Unreal had like a cloud-based instance.
Yeah, it was like a web portal.
Yeah, it was kind of slow and clunky.
It was kind of fun to use. It was very consumer friendly.
Yeah.
But it always struck me as like pretty limited options.
pretty limited options. And also MetaHumans are very heavy. You know, they're in the gigabytes. So downloading that from the cloud into
you have to
engine.
build it and then load Unreal and then download, sync your MetaHuman character into your project.
So if you're designing like 50 MetaHumans, you're looking at 50 hours, right? Something like that. So now this is built directly into engine.
So now you can just build the characters in Unreal.
Yeah.
Okay.
And on top of that, the character customization is a lot easier. So body shapes is one of the things that was limited to like a palette of a few. Now they have something called parametric permutations. So, you know, if you're looking at specific segments of your arm, you know, proportions of your torso to your leg and all those things, like you could dial up millions of permutations. And then on top of that, this is the one that I think is really one-to-one with Roblox avatars is updated outfit and clothing system. So in the past, I think it just came with a sweatshirt, a t-shirt, and a collared shirt for men. Now you could do all types of stuff. You can combine things, and there's a big creator economy of clothing that's on the Fab marketplace. Yeah, which also ties into this. So Epic has they've really kind of converged in the same path as Roblox in the sense that there is a big focus on avatars or digital humans and customizing them. But the big difference to me, and this is the one that's really exciting, is quality.
I was going to say, it's funny comparing MetaHumans to Roblox because Roblox is like the most 8-bit looking designs and MetaHumans are the most realistic looking virtual character people. That,
and there's a reason for that. It's the CEO's vision. So Dave Baszucki, who's the CEO of Roblox, he's very egalitarian. He believes that Roblox should run on any device. So it has to run on your Android phone or your iPhone. And you can't run a MetaHuman level rig on an iPhone. So you have to kind of go to the lowest common denominator, which is their R16, which is 16 blocks. That's what...
So what's the vision of MetaHuman? Because I only really know it through the lens of virtual filmmaking. So like creating a super high realistic character for creating a film. But was it intended to also be like a playable character in a video game that looks extremely realistic?
I think both. And it is becoming very clear the fact that they're investing in MetaHuman at this time in Epic's chapter, it's certainly more of a game asset than it is a film asset.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So which ties me into their secondary release, right? UEFN, Unreal Engine Fortnite, is a special flavor of the engine that you use to build Fortnite games. It's the equivalent of Roblox Studio.
Okay. Is it still as technical as Unreal, or is it more user-friendly?
It's still very much technical. As a matter of fact, I would argue it's more technical. They have a scripting language built into it called Verse. So game logic and a lot of the game programming has to be coded in Verse. Yeah. Of course, Unreal Engine proper does have Python integration and coding, and you could take the blueprints and C++ it. But UEFN relies heavily on game developers. I don't think you can make a game unless you've built other games before. Whereas in Roblox Studio, there are 15-year-olds that are making games and pushing them out.
Right. The idea of Roblox was like a very easy to use, build your own game world in our game.
But to Epic's defense, the Roblox mechanics and the technical complexity is less. Right.
Seems to be the big divide.
You can certainly make a AAA level game with Unreal Engine, and people have done that. So having that level of power and control into UEFN is incredible. So a couple of the things they introduced what they call Epic Developer Assistant, AI Assistant, to help you write that code for Verse, their scripting language, and then quick documentation and support stuff. We've seen a similar assistant deployment with Disguise, right? They have, I think a lot of software companies are realizing why should somebody have to go outside of the package, Google an answer or Reddit an answer, and then come back into the package? We should just build that stuff in.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's what I'm doing anyways when I have... Actually, I think I have tried to answer Unreal questions through Perplexity or ChatGPT, or I'm like, help me.
And it's pretty good.
Send a screenshot. Yeah, it's good. I mean, also I'm a novice, so please tell me what to do. But it does a pretty good job. But having it built in is a
So my guess is they're probably licensing a third-party LLM and then just exposing the API.
ChatGPT or Claude.
I hope it's one of those two because both of those are really good.
Yeah.
And then a couple of other big things. They have something called Scene Graph Beta, which is a visual organizer for all of the assets in your game. This is really important when your game gets up to like 10,000 assets in a single level.
Okay.
How do you know if that tree is just like a sub level of the main tree or a variant of this tree? And so Scene Graph Beta is a quick way to organize and like cut down on waste, if you will. And on top of that, it integrates directly into Verse. So then your scene graph and your code, your script could be one-to-one, which is really nice. These are just tools to make the level of complexity for a developer go down. So I think as it goes down over time, somebody like you and me can come in with no code and build a Fortnite game.
Right. It seems like that's definitely the direction where it's like, yes, more people to build the games. Also that if you're trying to build a metaverse of games, you want it to make it be easier as possible. With something like Unreal and Fortnite, there definitely is more of a options of complexity than you could do with Roblox. So like finding that sweet spot of keeping the complexity, like the options if you want it, but easy enough where you don't have to know C++ or Verse to build it.
The two companies, it's really interesting. They're coming at it from two different angles, but converging in the same goal, which is like a metaverse for all that's visually breathtaking, stunning, photoreal, indiscernible from reality. Right. It's like the Matrix.
Right. So will these
they're getting there, both from two ends. So
right, but will they ever converge too? Because it's like that's the argument in the book that you have right here. Where
what does Matthew Ball say about that?
I mean, I remember in the book it was, it's like the issue is, I mean, for there to truly be a metaverse, like
everything has to come together.
It's like it's got to be the same, like the internet.
It has to be like that.
Right. It's like basically two separate internets right now that they're building. So how if they get big enough, will they eventually like create a communication language where you could interact with the two?
My guess is it'll be a third party. Somebody big like Google, Apple, somebody like that who has the underlying infrastructure to accommodate a Roblox system and an Epic system, and then that'll be the glue that ties the two systems together. That's just we're not there. I think we're 10 years out from that point. But what I was meant to say was, Roblox is coming at it. Look, they already have incredible scale, right? There's something like close to 1 billion users on Roblox, way more than Fortnite. And I think millions of user-generated games, people making billions of dollars annually. And then Unreal's coming at it from, there's only one main game, Fortnite, and a handful of user-generated games, but that quality is incredible. Physics is accurate. You have famous IP on it, like Star Wars and Airbender and stuff like that. So they're coming at it from the quality end.
Disney bought a stake in Fortnite,
which is right. I think they both equally have certain things that are working for them, but it's yet to be proven which methodology is correct.
Yeah, it's made me think too, because also like a lot of games are built on Unreal Engine and then they get a cut for using Unreal Engine. But like Roblox doesn't really have, like Roblox is Roblox. There's no one building.
Nobody's using Roblox engine to build a third-party game.
Third-party game that has nothing to Roblox
They're not
branding.
Interested in that.
Yeah. So speaking of Unreal Engine. 5.6.
Yeah.
What is the new update in Unreal Engine?
Lots of updates around really making your game better. So one of the things that is like a holy grail in Unreal and really in Unity or any real-time renderer is getting to 60 FPS. In order for you to get that high of a refresh rate, and these refresh rates are not only critical for game developers, but also AR, VR. Like if you're talking about somebody that's building for Apple Vision Pro, they need that stuff to run at 60 or 90
frames per second.
Right? Yeah. So they made some improvements to hardware-based ray tracing, to Lumen, and all those things that are incredibly computer inefficient, much more efficient. And then they introduced something called motion trails, which is an animation tool. So right now, if you animate anything, let's say in Maya, in Blender, in Unreal, you're looking at splines and graphs, but you're not actually seeing the animation on top of your character. So motion trails is something where if the leg is moving and they have a nice demo, you could see the arc of the leg moving and then adjust each of the splines and do it very visually. So for a non-animator to animate,
so it's not just the graph, you can actually see it on in the world.
Yeah, like at DreamWorks, if you talk to animators, they started off animating with like spreadsheets. It was just numbers.
Yeah.
Then they moved to splines. And it's like, you know that scene in The Matrix where somebody's like, oh, you just see green code, but I see a lady in a red dress. Yeah. So animators can see the animation from the spline. That's how incredibly talented they are. But for the normal person like you and me, when we try to animate, we're like, wait, X in bone 6, Y in bone 6, right? It's very clunky. So this is just a way to make animation way easier. On the animation side, there's also something called sculpt morph targets. Morph targets are sometimes called blend shapes. Are you familiar with that?
Sort of heard of blend shapes, but no, what are blend shapes?
Yeah, so there are two ways to move a character. One is through bones. So the bones will influence how you move. Like, for example, my arms, it's got bones in it. But then when you start to fill up something like a face with a lot of bones, it starts to get very heavy and computationally expensive. So one of the ways around it is to just deform the geometry. So if I go from a normal face to a smile, all of the vertices that are affected around my lip, that's all I have to change, right? So it's regional, it's very computationally efficient. It's just been hard in the past to get blend shapes out of Maya into Unreal, onto a target, onto a character. So now they have morph target sculpting built into Engine. So now you can start to do secondary deformation. So like when an arm moves, does this muscle go up, right? Like all those intricate things that really give you the highest quality animation.
I think I remember why I heard of it. Or blend shapes, it's another way to rig or animate characters.
It is or it complements your rig
for like facial features.
Totally.
I think because when I was working on the project, we were using Wonder Dynamics, and to import your own character, the requirements were for facial tracking was it had to be built or it had to be rigged with blend shapes for it to track properly.
Correct. So if you're using any kind of iOS device, there's a standard blend shape list. I think it's about 50 blend shapes for your face that you have to sculpt.
Like this thing is for this point, this bit, like we remap
left eye, right eye, smile, frown.
So like when it's looking at ARKit or something, it knows
exactly
where to match.
Yeah.
How to match it to the rig.
The team that built ARKit facial capture, Apple acquired a company called Prime Sense, who developed on it a few years prior. So that technology transferred over, and now it's sort of like universal that if you want to animate a face, you need 50 blend shapes.
Okay.
Yeah. And just to nerd out a little bit, that stuff comes from the 1970s research called FACS, Facial Action Coding System. So like the government or somebody related to the government did all this research already.
You brought this up before.
Yeah.
I think, well, it's like the expressions, the different emotions.
Yeah. And it also comes up now with AI.
Right. To train
we talked about facial data.
Like Laura is trained on emotions, and that was when this came up. Yeah.
Yeah. The character Laura one.
The character Laura's.
Yeah. They're like, we're using FACS. I'm like, I know that thing.
Well, that's cool. Did anything catch your eye that relates to actual film production, virtual production?
Absolutely. So, look, it's no secret that every time Epic rolls out a new release, they kind of chomp and bite into other software territory. They've bit off big time into Maya territory with morph target sculpting, really intuitive animation tools, and now they're building something that will essentially kill MotionBuilder, which is the de facto motion capture software for 2 decades or more. Autodesk makes it. So basically, you can go from your motion capture system like an Xsense into MotionBuilder, which does the retargeting, which means it just casts that motion onto a character. You go from actor to character.
So like actual, like we're talking about like performance capture, like a real motion, if you're in a motion tracking suit or something.
Yeah. And MotionBuilder is really good at preserving the original actor's intent to this character who may be like a gorilla, not an actor, right? So like, how does all those movements look? There's a lot of math that goes under the hood to make that amazing. And then that goes out to Unreal. So now Unreal 5.6 has something called Capture Manager.
Okay.
It's essentially replacing MotionBuilder. So your Vicon data, your Xsense data can come directly into Unreal. Unreal will retarget multiple people at the same time, and then you can capture your in-game, cutscenes. You can do feature film previs. You can do
that pair with like the virtual camera too. I'm
Absolutely.
That would be cool. Yeah, because if you have the virtual camera on an iPad with your actors in motion capture suits.
Yeah.
I'm assuming one, and with the take recorder, just capture the whole thing.
5.4 and 5.5 made big improvements with VCam.
Yeah.
So they didn't cover it in 5.6, but 5.6 has the other improvements. If you combine it all, 5.6 is certainly a feature film tool, a AAA game tool. Like it's got all of that.
Wow.
And it's free.
Yeah, it's still true. Yes, it is.
Well,
free.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like
as long as you're making under
$2,000 a month.
I thought if your studio's under $1 million,
that's right.
Or something,
it's still free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Students, all of that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So shout out to everybody at Unreal Fest, and a quick shout out to my friend Frederick Nielsen, who's on the animation team. So I know a lot of the stuff that I put out here, he probably had a personal hand in making happen.
That's cool. It's not in our notes, but I also think that there were some more features rolled out into the Mac version, because this was another issue I had too when I was dabbling with Unreal. And then you look at, like, especially with MetaHuman and the facial capture with the pairing it with the app, it only worked on the PC version. And a lot of, like, I realized, I'm like, for this stuff, like, really PCs, you need PC, even though there is a Mac version. But I think there were some more features that were PC only that they did roll into the Mac. I don't remember the specifics.
Yeah, essentially Unreal has 3 flavors of the engine: a Linux, a Mac, and a Windows one. And the Windows one gets the most love because it's probably the one that's mostly used, and it's the highest performant. Mac versions are going to run on Mac Silicon, which is better than before, but it's no NVIDIA RTX card, right?
Yeah.
And then the Linux version, it's really for enterprise users. So like EA, for example, if EA built a game, it would be built and run on hundreds of servers. And to deploy a data center like that, it most likely will be Linux based.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, cool. Well, yeah, good roundup of updates. Thank you.
I'm just getting serious FOMO, man, because I'm just not there. Yeah, but I'll catch up with a lot of my friends who are there now.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see what talks and stuff come out, because I've seen some talks in the past, and they're always like really interesting and really some good case studies that usually come out.
Yeah, and, I think our friend Jim Godaltic is there. I think he's on a talk.
I saw that he had a comment that said it was a great keynote, so that must have been a really great keynote.
Yeah, shout out to Matt Workman, who also I think was on a panel.
Talk. Fan of the pod. Thanks. Also great YouTube channel, Matt.
Yeah,
shout talking about it. Okay, iPhones,
what do you got?
28 years later.
We love iPhones over here.
I think we've talked about this before. 28 years later, Danny Boyle's follow up to 28 days and weeks later is shooting entirely on iPhones with heavy duty rigging.
You have some of the pictures you want to show?
We'll show some pictures, but we've talked about the pictures in the past where you see the little iPhone and then you see it's mounted on
an anamorphic setup
with anamorphic lenses and like a big dolly and a viewfinder, and but still at the core it's an iPhone sensor capturing this. And so this new picture behind the scenes photo came out. At first I saw this popped up on my feed, and it was just vertically cropped, and I thought it was some bizarre AI generated image. It's basically like a huge metal platform with like 20 iPhone rigs.
It's like a bullet time
parabolic
setup.
Yeah, and a parabolic curve all pointing at a zombie in the woods.
Right.
And in the wider shot, you can see that there's a full crew there. I didn't see the crew in the first time, so I'm like, what is this? And then I was like, it's behind the scenes with the iPhone.
It's like, what zombie is this?
I mean, what zombie, bizarro AI-generated shot is this with a platter of iPhones?
Right.
So this was a rig that is what Danny Boyle called a poor man's bullet time rig.
Totally can see that.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So, they're all kind of angled and pointed at this zombie. We didn't actually see what shot it produced, but I'm guessing it is. Yeah. You could shoot at 60 frames per second and then do some crazy kind of freeze camera movements at any point as you're moving. So, like, going way back to The Matrix and the behind-the-scenes shots that
was shot on
videos
film.
We were obsessed with. They had to get still cameras and trigger them in order and sync. And basically, each camera was one frame.
Yeah.
And so
it's 24 cameras, so one frame within a 24 frame cycle.
Yeah, I think it was probably more than 24 cameras.
Okay.
But it was like each camera was a frame. It wasn't like, back then digital wasn't really a thing, but you couldn't get enough high speed film cameras and load it so that you could have the flexibility to choose the moment you wanted and control your move.
That's right.
They had to capture the move in real time.
It was a sequential firing.
Yeah, exactly.
Every time.
It was a sequential firing. Yes.
Yeah.
Now we're on iPhones and they can record them and they can take this in post. You can sync them and you could pick what moment you want to start doing your bullet time effect.
And I have the 14 Pro, I think. It does 240.
Yeah, they're using the Blackmagic app, so you get more control.
Oh, yeah, you could totally override the
and
camera
they're shooting
control.
on 15, iPhone 15s, and I don't know what the max is. If I'm going to guess, they're probably going to shoot at 4K, even if they're going to down. Well, but you could definitely do 60 if not 90.
Like my only note with using, look, if Danny Boyle was to do this film 6 months, a year from now, bullet time is easily achievable with AI. Like you have stable virtual camera and you have similar technologies where it gives you what we call in the AI community novel view synthesis. So from one image, you could create.
We see this a lot in with sports replays now too. They can have a few cameras and figure out where everything else is and do some cool replay effects. I don't know if he would want it.
Like maybe he felt that it wasn't prime time ready at the time of shooting.
Or he's just like trying to keep it grungy and hands-on and practical with some crazy rigs.
My only note on iPhones, and I'm not a cinematographer, so if anybody from ASC is listening, please correct me. But because the sensor is so small, you're going to get more or less a pinpointed focal length, which means everything is in focus by default. So the reason you get bokeh and nice soft images in iPhones is it's artificially added. But if you just let
like if you're shooting in cinematic mode and it fake adds,
it's all artificially added. But like the sense, like pure physics dictates that as sensor size goes to a pinpoint, everything starts to become in focus. And that's why big sensors give you more bokeh and softer images.
Can you solve anything with that or trick it with lenses or attachments?
So that's what I saw on some of the BTS for this. There was like a proper $50,000 anamorphic mounted to an iPhone. But then the anamorphic still has to squeeze giant imagery onto a tiny sensor.
Yeah, it's not going to be as good, but there's some good camera shot comparisons. Strada, Michael Cioni, they've gone down the rabbit hole of like shooting. We can show the video, but they did for HPA, they did a test shot shoot with an iPhone with the Fuji G, whatever, I forgot the name, but they're like
Primistas,
65. It's the newer, the 65 mil, like $10,000, $9,000 digital cinema camera. Yeah. That's like, big sensor, very affordable, and like an Alexa.
Oh, the X100, I think. The Fuji.
Oh, yeah.
Those are nice.
And then the Alexa, $60,000 camera. Yeah. And it was, it's like the Alexa, yes, technically it looks better, but what you could do with the iPhone was like still pretty good. And they had a model with like, lights in the background, and sure, the bokeh wasn't as good, but it was still there. And it was remarkable for, the price difference between like 50 times. Yeah. It's pretty close.
Look, the iPhone image processing is probably in its like 10th or 13th generation. Like it had long improvement cycles, and Apple being Apple, they've probably put tons of algorithms into the phones that figure out where the subject is.
So much going on. Like I don't know I'm curious how much is still going into it when you're just shooting video, with like the log profile kind of through the app straight to hard drive.
I would imagine it's never raw.
Right. I still think there's going to be some processing going on to help improve the image quality.
I'm telling you, just the fact that it's a small sensor, all of this algorithm is just fighting that to make it cinematic. Whereas a big 65 millimeter sensor is automatically giving you cinematic.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But also, you mentioned this, is you have a small, basically like kind of like a Rialto-ish sensor, but that is the entire camera. Yeah. And so it's cool he's taking advantage of it because you could do cool stuff like this. Like you can't mount 20 cameras on a handheld rig and have your grips run and follow a zombie and do a fake bullet time in the middle of the woods. Yeah. You can only do this with an iPhone. Or, not to toot our own horn, but many years ago, we had a similar idea.
Okay, do tell.
In our 20s in Miami, Andrew Hevia and some other filmmaker friends of ours, we would do stuff with them. There was this random ass film festival called the Borscht Film Festival, and the Knight Foundation would like throw money at projects. And so there was this guy who would build crazy kind of metal rigs, and so he built a giant crossbow. And so we were like, okay, let's shoot a video with this crossbow destroying stuff. Okay. If YouTube was sort of a thing, but like we probably, if it was more of a thing, we definitely would have just been doing a lot more YouTube stuff.
I don't think you could put up silly stuff on YouTube.
Yeah, or destroying stuff in slow motion. So we rented a Phantom camera, early 2000 frame per
days
second.
Of Phantom.
Yeah, when it was like,
super expensive
and not very easy to use, super technical. But the other thing I wanted to try was like a fake bullet time, and I don't remember how we got them, but we had access to flip cameras. Okay, if you remember flip cameras, this was before the iPhone. We destroyed them, or Cisco destroyed them. Yeah, they were like little handheld video recorder devices with a little button and you could record a video. So we had a handful of them, and so we built a very similar rig with a bunch of flip cam, the little arch
sequential firing
pointing at the thing, and they're video cameras, so we could just hit record on all of them and just let it roll. And then, it was shooting in like SD, so it wasn't, maybe it was 720 HD, but it got enough of a cool little effect. We can do we were able to do like a fake little bullet time effect of the crossbow destroying whatever was destroying at the time.
Were you inspired by the BTS of The Matrix?
It was definitely The Matrix and Swordfish. Swordfish took bullet time to like another level, but doesn't really get as much attention.
Yeah,
but they built the camera rig through that entire city backlot.
Yeah.
And when they did the explosion and the intro, the like bullet time camera like flies through the entire city block. It was a cool shot.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm going to tie the bullet time stuff back to my first conversation about Epic. Did you know that Kim Laberry, CTO of Epic, was Matrix VFX soup?
No.
So like, yeah, he's the brains behind the bullet time stuff.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's cool. If
he went on real fast, you would have run into him.
Man, next time. One other thing I saw in the article about the Danny Boyle was, which I felt bad for Panasonic. They said they also used, he called it this old Panasonic camera called EVA1. That camera's not old. It's still a current model that they sell. But like, I've heard good things about that camera, but no one uses it. I felt bad for them.
Panasonic has not done well in the D-Cinema game.
It's like their low-end entry to, not the Cine Alta, but what's their cinema line called?
Lumix?
No, that's the consumer line, which is one of their confusing naming things.
Oh, I see. It's relatively affordable.
Yeah, and I've heard people who use it like it, but it's just funny that he called it like an old camera. It's like
the one thing about Panasonic is they don't make crappy stuff.
No, it's the bottom of the VariCam line, which is their like cinema line.
VariCam, that's right.
So it's like the affordable, like smaller body in that line. Yeah, everyone I know that has used it loves it, but it's funny that he called it.
Yeah, it's equivalent to like a red Komodo.
An old,
that sort of price and form factor resolution.
Similar to when they shot the first one, the Canon XL1.
That's right.
Which was also their claim to fame with the 28 Days Later.
Yeah, that was so cutting edge at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Very cool.
All right. And last story, throwback to story we talked about a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Natasha Lyonne's AI hybrid directorial debut. Yeah, so she responded because there was a lot of backlash over the AI news. And she said, quote, "It's comedic that people misunderstand headlines so readily because of our bizarre culture of not having reading comprehension."
That's very true. That's spot on.
We have talked about a lot because, yes, as we've noted, and as we just said here, it's a hybrid film. But she did offer some more details in this Variety article saying that, the AI stuff was for set extensions and background extensions.
Yeah, it's the same as Darren Aronofsky's film where it's also a hybrid.
Right. Either, I think in that case, maybe it was more generating like insert shots or those just shots that like, are not.
Yeah, that's the right way to use AI. I mean, like fully synthetic films has its path, but I think at a Hollywood tier 1 level, it's just not there yet. At least for another year or two, I think. Yeah.
Well, the one thing, though, with this fully synthetic route, because Echo Hunter was a film, Kayvon the Kid, I think we talked about it at the AI on the Live. I interviewed him, and they trained the models on the SAG-approved actors and then kind of created a fully synthetic film.
That's one way to do it.
I was watching it. That's probably the best looking, consistent AI-generated film that I've seen. Like impressive and really good, and like kind of got me sucked into it. Like I've seen a lot of other AI films, so like it's getting there.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, the common theme is like, is it a good story? Are people going to get into it? Most 99% of people are really not going to care how it was made.
Yes, I agree. Even now, they don't care.
No.
Right?
Or they already think it's AI.
When we look at like a Marvel movie that costs $300 million and there is teams of thousands of VFX artists, when the average moviegoer goes to the theater, buys popcorn, sits down, do they really care? It better be good.
Are you entertained? Am I getting my money's worth? Am I did I feel like, this was a good use of my 2 hours and money and I, feel satisfied? If you achieve that, I think that's what most people care about.
But that is the beauty of filmmaking, is it's egalitarian, right? Like anybody from anywhere can make it if they have a good enough story that the world wants to see. That's a good note to end on.
Yeah, that's a good note to end on. Another good note to end on, good news, the kangaroo did successfully board the airplane, it was allowed on. So
just a quick note, the kangaroo quality is so good. I have a hard time believing that's fully AI. I think there might be some clever compositing done.
I don't know. I think it's all AI.
Okay.
Which else?
If you're out there and you made the kangaroo video, reach out.
Who did make the kangaroo? Well, yeah, it's a good place to wrap it up with some good news. Links for everything we talked about, as usual, at denoisepodcast.com. It
was great to see everybody at AI on the Lot in person. If you're listening to this show around the world, in London, in Australia, in Europe, give us a shout, give us a comment, and we'd love to engage with you. Thank you for listening.
Thanks. See you in the next episode.